Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, am I in order, Mr. Speaker, for a point of personal privilege?
It is that time of the day. You are in order.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, first of all, since we're so full in the chamber, I wanted to make sure that we thanked everyone that participated in the Black History Program. You know, the Black History Program was successful because of the fact that we worked together, we shared, we watched individuals in different lanes give what they felt was important to them during this month. Several things happened because I wasn't able to be here with all the presentations, and I missed a few, and I'm sorry I did. But this month has also been an emotional month, and it was very climactic, ending today. But 2 days ago, I got a call from, I say, a woman that today I have learned and grown great respect for. And she asked if I would come and see her. And I said yes. And so we set the time for 2 o'clock today. And when I got there, I had also got a certificate to give her because her birthday is Saturday, and she's turned 81 years old. And so when I went with my intern and my clerk, we got there and walked in the house and in her small apartment, and she looked at me and she said, I'm sure glad you're here. We had a few formalities, and after we talked a little bit, she said, let me tell you why I asked you to come. And I sat there, and as I sat there, she started pulling out documents. And one of the first documents that she pulled out was a document from her grandfather. And the document was his freedom papers that he had signed to show that he had earned his freedom. He was 20 years old when he signed that paper. Her other grandfather, the Turner side of the family, couldn't write. So when he signed his papers about his freedom, he couldn't write. So he had to sign it with an X. And then he had two people underneath would become his witness. And I sat there and tears began to well up in my eyes because I got to thinking, as a man here, 2018, I never thought about having to wake up in the morning and having another man dictate my life or own me as property. And then show up and have to sign a paper that wasn't recognized by everyone, but recognized by a few. But I was giving my freedom by another man to be able to say that I could go from one state to another, or I could have a family, or I could share with my family. And she sat there and I looked, and then she started showing me her family tree. And, you know, I started thinking about all the presentations. I started talking about history, and I said, you know, how important is African American history when we can learn, because the life that most of us in this room would never experience. There's a part that we would never understand about owning somebody or being owned. There'll be a part in life. So when we do the Black History Program, it's not something that we do lightly. It's something because we're talking about giving hope to our babies, learning each other, being able to share, being able to understand the differences so our similarities have substance. Because when I'm sitting there talking to a lady now, a Mrs. Velma Turner, who I now was given the privilege to call Mom, when she talks about her family And then she started telling me her history. That she was deemed a mulatto because her mama was white and her father was black, and how many beatings that she took because of the fact she was an individual that wasn't accepted from blacks or accepted from whites. And on one hand, she was called fair-skinned and thought she was too good and she was walking proper. And on the other hand, they had another race calling her a nigger every day, and she had to walk through that and grow. But through all that pain, through everything that she went through, she writes. And she gave me her writings, one of her writings, and she wrote a book. But through all this pain, as she went through and getting beat and almost killed by her own father, she writes in her writings about, why can't we still love one another? Why can't we pull together to be able to do what is right for society so that we don't have to hate one another? When we talk about black history, we can't talk about this is just something to do. When we talk about history, period, we can't take it lightly because we understand what it is to go through pain and turn that pain into power, but to go through pain to be able to understand and to live with one another. We got a long way to go. We have a long way to go. When I look at this lady who's on her way here right now, I wonder how many of us could have endured that pain that she went through. How many of us could have stood there and watched her father get beat? How many of us could have stood there and watched her grandfather enjoy a freedom that wasn't even freedom? I said, how can we talk about the shortest month of the year and talk about ending black history? It can't end, it has to begin. How can we talk about ending in just a month and we don't celebrate history 365 days a year and not turn around and just make it into a month? Women's history into a month? Latino history into a month? White history into a month? When do we stand up and be able to say, this is history, this is our history, no longer his history, and we make it 365 days a year to reach out to one another? We ain't got to like each other, but we can learn from each other. We don't have to go to dinner together, but we can respect each other. If I today come to you and you tell me this is St. Patrick's Day, I'm not going to give you anything about anybody being black. I'm going to recognize your history. If you tell me this is German Day, I'm going to recognize you as being a German. I'm not going to give you somebody black. If I tell you this is Black History Month, then tell me what you recognize and what you understand about me as a man. About me being somebody, a human being, when all my history, my life says that my folk were only 3/5 of a human being in the Constitution of the United States of America. When do you stand up and be able to reach out and quit letting people tear us apart? Put stuff on the internet, send stuff in emails. How can you do that when we have stood here together, fought together, and we are not respecting each other together? This is something that means a lot to me. It means a great deal to me. It means a great deal to me because I watch babies not even like themselves. Why is this month important? Because I see black babies that will be showing two babies. They show a white baby and a black baby, and they choose the white baby because they think the black baby is inferior. That's the society that we have developed. That's real. I watch young men going to college in this state that puts on a Ku Klux Klan outfit because they think it's funny. when people have been lynched in this state. And how do we correct that? Because we have to stand together. We have to be able to speak out, because I may not get those white babies and be able to say, it may not mean nothing coming from me, but it'll mean a lot coming from you. It'll mean a lot if you wrote the letter. If you said that's not funny. If you said you had hurt the feelings of many. That's when it means something. That's when history is being made. It's not being made by saying, oh, my. It's being made when we stand up together and we fight it together. I say to my colleagues today, it's time for a paradigm shift. It's time for a new commitment to what we have to do to each other as human beings. Don't tell me you don't see color. Because the only way you don't see color is that you're blind. And even Ray Charles could tell you what color you were. But tell me you see my culture, but you respect me as a man. Tell little babies, I see that you may be a little different, but I respect you as a child. And I respect your culture. But don't tell a baby to look like there's no color. Life isn't that way. Life doesn't go that way. As I sat down in my seat, Mrs. Turner, who I now call my mom, will be entering here soon. I ask you to shake her hand. I ask you to recognize her pain. I ask you to understand that we have a long way to go. But the key is what makes it a winnable struggle if we do it together. Thank you.